Peace and blessings, family. It's me, Coach 67 Sports TV. Shout out to the awesome and amazing LDBC, Lions Den basketball community. Before we go any further in the video, like the video, share the video, comment in the comment section, subscribe to the channel. Also, click the notification bell so you could be alerted anytime I post any new videos. All right, recently, the starters for the 2023 NBA All-Star team was announced. For the East, it was Donovan Mitchell, Kyrie Irving, Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant, and Giannis, the Greek Freak. In the West, it was Steph, Luka, LeBron James, Zion Williamson, and the Joker, Jokic. All right, so I'm gonna put my pin in the Zion Williamson because myself being a huge Pelicans fan, it was about this time last year that I really was starting to question, David Griffin as a GM because I know he did a good job with the Cleveland Cavaliers when he was the general manager there, but I was starting to question whether him being the general manager of the Pelicans was in the Pelicans' best interest. However, once he made the C.J. McCollum trade, I was sorry to see Josh Hart and Nickeil Alexander-Walker go, but it ended up paying big dividends for the Pelicans. And the Pelicans, at that point, they started to turn their season around, and they made a push late last season, and they ended up making the playoffs. And they played the Phoenix Suns in the first round, and they played a heck of a series, but they lost in 6. And, just watching Zion Williamson on the sideline during that series, it just kind of made me think if he was healthy and he was at full strength, how much better that team could have been. Now we spin it forward to the beginning of the year. And at the beginning of the year when they played against the Brooklyn Nets, going into that particular game and just coming into the season in general, my concern was how would Zion and Brandon Ingram be able to coexist, and how would the overall unit be able to play, whether they had an 8, 9, 10-man rotation. It was just going to be interesting to see how they gel and how they mesh. Were they really going to be a cohesive unit, or was it going to be more of a situation where it's my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn? And they played against the Brooklyn Nets, and they did an excellent job in that game. I know Ben Simmons, he really wasn't acclimated to their team. Kyrie and KD, they had a lot of, issues stemming from the off season, but the Pelicans put down a massive performance in the first game of the season. And then spin it forward later on to the season, the Pelicans ended up being the number 1 seed at a certain point in the season in the Western Conference. However, Brandon Ingram ended up being hurt for a majority of this particular season. Zion, he came, he had his nicks and bruises for the most part. When he had it going, the Pelicans ended up, ascending to the number 1 seed. But eventually he got hurt again. Then there was a good stretch of the season where the Pelicans was without Zion and B.I. Brandon Ingram. So last night the Pelicans, lost to the Dallas Mavericks. Now they've fallen to 26 and 27, so they're not even a 500 team at this point. Brandon Ingram has come back, but to me he's not at full strength. And in addition to that, Zion is still hurt. He's still out. So it just kind of makes me wonder as a Pelicans fan, is this team going to ever really reach their fullest potential? And, one thing that a lot of people that aren't Pelicans fans really don't realize is how deep this particular team is. First you start with Zion, and then you go down to B.I., Brandon Ingram. You got C.J. McCollum. You got Jonas Valanciunas. You have Herb Jones. And then coming off the bench, you got Jose Alvarado. You got Larry Nance Jr. You got Jackson Hayes. You got Devontae Graham. You got Kyra Lewis. You got Trey Murphy. You got Najee Marshall. And the list goes on and on. They are a very, very deep team. You got Willie Hernan Gomez. You got Garrett Temple. So, I mean, they have a lot of wing players. They have a lot of guard play. The biggest issue with the Pelicans is one, they really could use more shooters. Devontae Graham really is their best shooter. In addition to that, whether, mixing and matching the wings, I think Trey Murphy is probably their best two-way player in terms of their wing players. I think Herb Jones is their best defender. Najee Marshall, he has a lot of potential. So it just kind of showed how great a job David Griffin did in terms of being a GM. First, getting two rock solid veterans like C.J. McCollum and Jonas Valanciunas to really kind of anchor the team. You have an emerging superstar in Zion, depending on if he can stay healthy. And then you got a potential perennial all-star in Brandon Ingram. So they have the recipe to be a championship contender for years to come. But the issue is, one, is Zion and Brandon Ingram together? Are they going to be able to stay healthy? Especially Zion in particular, because he really is the needle mover for this particular team. And of course he's had his weight issues, but I think we're at the point now where it's not necessarily a weight issue. It's more of a situation where, well, let me rephrase that. It's not about him being overweight and out of shape from the standpoint of him being fat. It's more of his just natural body size. I mean, he's a bigger guy. I think on average he's probably 280, 285. He's 6'6". But, he's extremely explosive. So that's a lot of jumping up and down, a lot of wear and tear. A lot of pressure on his ankles, his knees, his back, his joints. So, even though he's not fat and out of shape, the issue with him is, at that size, is he going to be able to stay healthy? So even though he's not fat, he's not out of shape, would it be in his best interest to maybe slim down about 255, 250? Is that even feasible? And if he loses that kind of weight, is he going to be the same explosive, effective player that he is? So these are some things, and not only that, David Griffin, he has, a lot of assets in terms of having, an extremely deep team, just looking at their roster, in terms of players that can actually play and get on the court and be serviceable in a playoff run. If they were to make one right now, they pretty much could go to the end of their bench in terms of going 14 deep potentially. So at this point, with all the draft picks he has, from the Lakers, from the Bucks, in the trade with Drew Holiday, is it time for him to package some of these potential good young players and some of those picks, for another, fringe star caliber player? Should they just be patient and just ride it out? So it's kind of interesting. It remains to be seen, like, what are they going to do? How healthy is Zion going to be able to get and stay? And are they going to be able to make a playoff run? Because, just looking at how well they played last year in the playoffs against the Suns, I think had they had Zion, I'm going to just be truthful, I think they get over the hump, and I think they beat the Suns in that playoff series. So are they going to be able to make a run this year? Is he going to be able to stay healthy? In addition to that, is Brandon Ingram going to be able to stay healthy? And then based on the depth, all the players that they have, is David Griffin going to package some of those players and picks, to get another star caliber player? So is he going to make another major move before the trade deadline? Because, they have, like I said, they have abundance of talent. They're an extremely deep team, so it just kind of remains to be seen, how the team plays moving forward after the All-Star break coming up. At the trade deadline, is he going to make a move to package some of these, young assets and picks? So, and the thing about it, he's done an excellent job in terms of the draft with, Herb Jones and Trey Murphy, and just getting a lot of good young players, a lot of good young assets. But is he going to need to package some of these players, for a fringe star caliber player, or just a player that's going to be able to stay healthy and be a good rotational player? So that's it for this video. Like the video, share the video, comment in the comment section. subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so you can be notified anytime I post any videos. That's it for this video. Y'all have a blessed and phenomenal day. Peace and blessings.